Welcome to Art for Beginners. My name is Taylor, and in this series I will be demonstrating some basic level techniques for the amateur digital artist. Today we will be drawing a horse from the hit television series My Little Pony. These horses have attracted a large following of children and young adult men of all ages, with their flamboyant colors and magical ability to speak human languages. After this tutorial, you will be able to make a pet horse of your very own. Again, we will be using Paint 3D, which will allow us to add depth to our horse character. Let us start with the head. Now the head is a fairly simple shape. We'll be drawing essentially a large apostrophe. So let's go to our 3D Shapes tab, and from there we'll select the Soft Edges 3D Doodle tool. Now we'll start here. We'll draw a circle that gets larger as we progress. We'll swoop like this and back in. And from that sketch, Paint 3D was able to generate this shape. Now if we rotate it 90 degrees, we'll see that it's still fairly flat, but because we're drawing a 3D horse character, we want to give it a little bit more depth. So we'll just drag it out like that, and we're good to go. Just turn it around back here. Great. Now let's draw the body. The body is similar to the head in that it is a sort of an apostrophe shape. However, it's upside down and a little bit wider. So let's go back to our 3D shapes, our 3D soft edge doodle tool. I'll draw a bit away from the head just to make sure we get the whole shape. So we'll start up top, swoop down and out, back around, give it a bit of a belly, up to the chest, and back in. Like before, we'll spin her around, add a little bit of depth, and spin it back. Great. Now let's assemble the head and the body together. Make sure we have our select tool option. We'll click on the head, and we'll just drag it in place. Now if necessary, we can bring it out forward just a little bit, just to make sure we have that nice chin. Lovely. Next, let's draw the legs. We'll start with the front legs, which are a fairly simple shape. If we look at the reference image, they're essentially just tubes. So we'll go back to the 3D shape tool. We'll grab that soft edge. And it's simple. Down and back. Don't forget there's a little bit of a flare. And we'll go back up and in. As before, spin her around, add that depth, spin her back. Now instead of drawing the other front leg, we'll simply press Ctrl C and Ctrl V. And now we have two legs. Let's put them in place here. So this one we'll have to drag forward just a little bit because it's near us. Let's grab that other leg. Be offset just a bit so we can see it. Of course, we'll move it to the other side of the body. Now if we look at the reference image, you'll see that these horses don't have any hooves. In order to gain the ability to speak human languages, they had to give something up in return. So now they are cursed to walk the earth on toeless, fleshy feet. Anyway, let's move on to the hind legs. Now, unlike the front legs, these are not as simple of a shape. Instead of a tube, it's more of a meat cleaver, perhaps. So let's go back to our 3D Doodle Soft Edge tool. We'll start here. We'll go down with a slight curve. Go over to the side. Go back up, mimicking that first curve. Before we reach the top though, we're going to cut in just a little bit to finish that blade. And then we'll move on to the handle, which will be a bit rounder. And back to the start. Don't forget to add depth. Just like before, we will Ctrl C and Ctrl V. So now we have two. And then it's just a matter of finding the right position. Excellent. Next, let's draw the ears. So the ears in this case, I find them comparable to a football shape as far as the outline's concerned. So we'll go back to our Soft Edge 3D Doodle tool, make a simple oval but pointy. That was easy. We'll put it down, we'll give it a bit of a tilt, move it to the front, like so. Don't forget to give your horse a second ear. Congratulations, you now have a completed figure for your horse. Now before we add some of the finer details, let's pick out some of the colors we're going to use. Let's go to the Brushes tab and select the Fill tool that looks like a paint bucket. Now it's a simple matter of choosing which color from this palette you want to use. I'm going to use dark green. Simply click on the shapes you want. I'm going to make my horse all green. You can change yours up if you want. Next, let's add some detail to that face. We're first going to start with the eyes. And to do so, let's go to the 2D Shape tab. We're going to draw a lot of ovals. First, let's start with the outer part of the eye. First, let's start with the whites of the eyes. Select the Circular Shape tool, even though we'll be drawing ovals, and just draw a big oval, like that. And we can move it around, give it a little eccentric tilt. Now we'll change the fill type to solid. Make sure that solid is white, because it's the outside part of the eye. And for the line type, we're going to select none. When the eye is exactly where you want it, you can just click this check mark. Very good. Now go back to the 2D Shape tool, select the circle. And inside the white of the eye, we're going to draw another oval, slightly smaller. Now it's going to be hard to see because it's the same color as your first one, but don't worry, it's there. Now here, this is going to be the iris of the eye, so you can pick whatever color you want. Let's go with dark green. Nice. We'll give it a little tilt to match the outside, move it to where we want, and click the check mark. Next, we'll draw the pupil. Now, if we look at the reference image, we see that the horses have very large pupils. This makes it easier for them to see in dark conditions and avoid predators, such as wolves or garter snakes. So we'll go back to the circle tool. We'll draw another oval. Center it in the middle of the eye, if we can. Give that tilt, maybe. A little bit more. We'll change the fill color to black. Very good. Now the last part we need to do for the eye is that shine. Now if we look at the reference image, we see that they have these white circles in the middle of their eyes. This is because despite their large pupils, they seem to always be looking at the sun and are in constant pain. So we'll have our oval tool selected again, draw a circle or oval, change it back to white. Very good. If we look at the reference image, we see that their eyes are partially outlined. They have some eyeliner on. So we'll go to our Brushes tab, select the marker, select a black color, and very carefully trace the top half of the eye. Like so. Maybe fill in that gap there. Perfect. Now, the horses of My Little Pony exhibit some sexual dimorphism, which means that they have different appearances based off whether or not they are male or female. The main difference is manifested in whether or not they have eyelashes. Since I'm drawing a boy horse, I'm not going to add the eyelashes. But if you want to draw a female horse, all you have to do is use the same marker tool and just add some big eyelashes, but not too many. Just a couple, like that. But again, I'm not gonna keep them because I'm drawing a boy horse. Now comes the fun part. We're gonna draw the hair. Now if we look at the reference image, we see that these horses, because they have 2D hair, there's not much volume to it. It's just weird, funky shapes. What we're gonna do, because we're drawing in 3 dimensions, is add that volume. So how we're gonna do that is go to the 3D Shapes tab and select the Tube Brush tool. Now this thickness is too high, so we're going to change it to, let's go with about 20s probably will work. Now select the color you want to start with. I'm going to go with lime green and simply start drawing. Now the horses of My Little Pony have sort of a mullet type hairdo. At least most of them do. So we'll draw a few lines. And don't forget the hair kind of extends forward a bit as well. Don't forget the tail. Now for fun, I'm going to change it up. I'm going to use a different color as well. Perhaps yellow. Now if you like what the hair looks like now, all you have to do is click on this check mark. And there you go. Of course, again, as I said before, we're going to add some volume. So what we're going to do is we're going to Control C, Control V. Now we have two sets of hair. So let's move this one forward a bit using the Z-axis slider. And maybe down a bit. There. Now the hair has some layers to it. Now if we look at the reference image, we see that these horses have interesting marks on their rear end. And each horse has a different mark. These are brands from their human owners, which allow them to distinguish their horse from other horses. So let's go back to the 2D shape tool. Over here, you can pick whatever shape you want. I'm going to go with, how about this one? And then just draw it right here. Change the color as you see necessary. I think I'm going to add a black outline like that. Not too shabby. You know what? Let's add another shape. How about this one? Very cool. Now, one last thing I need to do that I forgot to say earlier, and I do apologize, is to add a mouth and a nose, so that it may speak its human languages and smell things. So let's go back to the brush tool. This is going to be a very easy step. We're going to select a black color, perhaps, use the marker tool, and simply just draw some quick little lines here and here. And there you have it, your own little horse from My Little Pony. Now if you want, you can add a fun background to give your horse a world to play in. If you want to know how to draw a background like this, I advise you watch the previous episode to find out. Thank you for watching. I've been Taylor, and I will see you next time on Art for Beginners.